Hello, everyone. I am James. This is the Boostara podcast, where we talk to leaders in education and uncover the strategies and the knowledge behind what made them successful. Our guest today is Lawrence Laidlow. I did say your surname correct, right?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
Laidlow or
exactly
Laidlow?
right.
Laidlow.
Yeah,
Laidlow. Very excited to have you here today. Lawrence, where are you calling from today?
I'm just outside of Hull, a little place called Home on Spalding Moor.
Lovely. And it's a
Oh,
hot
it's
day today.
tiny. If you blink, you'd miss it. It's a country road into the middle of nowhere.
My perfect place to be, but maybe not on a hot day like this, though. Well, Lawrence, would you like to start off just telling us about your journey with Smallsnet, which is
Well,
your training company, right?
if you told me when I was a young boy I'd be involved with sales and sales coaching, I would have laughed. I'd have probably asked you what you meant. I joined the Royal Air Force as a 16-year-old kid, worked on Vulcan bombers and Harrier jump jets, lived in the Falklands, lived in RAF Germany, and when I got out, I didn't know what to do with myself. I had no skills that could transfer into civilian life. Quite by chance, I found a leaflet on a car promising me full-time wages for part-time hours. And that was my introduction into multi-level marketing sales. And I loved it, but I didn't realize I was good at it. But I found a mentor along the way. She's seen in me something I didn't know I had. And I spent 13 years doing multi-level marketing, recruiting, training, coaching, selling, training people into sales, coaching them. A few years after that, I got involved with direct sales, and I was selling wall coatings or render to people in their own home. And I truly, truly fell in love with direct sales. I was literally getting paid for drinking coffee, and I would tell the story. I wasn't selling. I didn't look at it as sales. I was telling a story about a product, and I would try and answer their objections before they became an objection. And I
Mm.
stuck that for about 3 or 4 years, I think. And then after that, I had two sons very early in life after leaving the Air Force. So I always had to go out and do something that fit around the kids. Uh, I've always loved sales. The coaching thing came about, I believe it was 1992, 1993. I got my first diploma in business performance coaching. And I didn't really understand what coaching was about. The first time I heard the phrase coaching, I thought it had something to do with American football. That's how green I was.
Yeah.
But I got my diplomas. I also got a diploma in life coaching, but I'm far too direct to set myself up as a life coach. So, so I just don't bother with that. The sales training came about when I was living in Newcastle, Christ, about 30 years, 20 years, 25 years ago. I was living in Newcastle still. And I thought I wanted to do something different. And I joined the Chamber of Commerce. And I wanted to take my coaching, and business performance was something I really, really did want to do. I got quite excited when I got involved with coaching. And not many people wanted a business coach. They didn't understand what it was about. So I just set up my own business called The Sales Coach. And I took my knowledge of sales and selling and coupled it together with my coaching diplomas. I just called myself the sales coach. And it kind of took off. Everybody wanted to hear what I had to say. Chambers of Commerce would refer people to me. There was funding and grants available for training. And it went really, really well. Recently, 12, 13 years ago, I went back out on the road selling. I took a bit of time out of my business when I left Newcastle. And I ended up basically back on the road selling wall coatings again. And again, I thoroughly loved it. Absolutely enjoyed doing it. And I still sell a product today. I don't work as hard. I don't work as often, but there's too much money in it to quit selling. And why would you trust a sales coach if he's not selling something in today's marketplace?
That's a very good point, right?
I make no bones about it. I love being a salesman. I love going out selling stuff.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I joined the business culture recently. About 4 or 5 years ago, before I wrote my book, and they asked me to come in and do a sales workshop. and it was going to last 4 hours. And I scrambled to find a topic, but Tony beat me to the punch, and he called it "How to Convert a Hot Prospect." So I immediately ran with that, designed a 4-hour training course. Then I wrote the book.
Yeah. Here it is.
And it is literally that book, and the whole premise of my seminars and workshops, even my downloadable modules on my website, it's all about what I do on a daily basis to create sales and earn good commission. So, for example, the very first part of selling for me is about the prospecting, how you advertise to find the right kind of customer, or the ideal customer. Because in my mind, a lot of the marketing companies get it wrong. A lot of the sales companies out there get it wrong, because they employ a marketeer to tell the message or to promote a product, and the marketing company have got no idea of how a salesperson or a sales organization work, but they want to show how arty and how creative they are building an advert. Yet when you increase the amount of leads that come through the door, you nearly always waste the salesman's time, because most of those extra leads are the wrong kind of prospect. So the company will spend more and more time sifting through the detritus, if you like, to get to the nuggets of gold. Whereas the way I look at marketing is start with the end in mind. Know what you want to say. What is the big headline? What's the biggest advantage of working with you? That should be the header of your advert. And that will start bringing the right kind of people in.
Would you say the principles of effective sales, of prospecting, are they true across different industries, and even say across like B2B versus B2C? Are those the same sales principles valid, yes, or should it always be tweaked slightly?
Well, every business is different. Every sales environment is different. You couldn't pull one technique off the shelf and it would work for every business in the marketplace. But the one thing I have experienced and I've learned in all of the years, people don't buy product. People buy people. So it doesn't really matter what the product is. As long as you can build rapport and people like you, you'll do tremendously well. A great salesman will not always sell. Okay, it's just because not everybody's going to want it. A poor salesman can do tremendously well if he gets on with people. And what I used to say in the early days was, I used to say, look, I've only just started doing this. Please bear with me if I make a mistake. And you can make as many mistakes as you want. They like you because you're honest. And that is still true today. People buy people. Nobody wants to be sold to, but people love buying. They love to get a deal. They love thinking that they've pulled one over on you. So let them justify a price drop instead of saying, if you buy it now, I'll knock 20% off. That's not selling. That's desperation. But to answer your question, sales have changed in this day and age. In my experience, and it's just happened to me twice in the last couple of months. Do you want to hear? I'll give you an example.
Absolutely.
Right. People are talking about using social media, using email, and sending out 1,000 emails a day, and some of it'll stick, and you might get a deal or two. Well, I'm old school. I love face-to-face selling. I never dream of trying to sell a high-ticket item in an email quotation. So I had some money lying around in this drawer right here. I had $3,000 spare doing nothing. And I wanted to put a wrap around my American truck, this big Dodge outside, and I wanted to put a big wrap on it, make it look really, really special. So I approached somebody I know. He's always advertising to do vehicle wraps. I went, hey, listen, would you do my truck? And he goes, yeah, okay. I said, I'll send you all the images. I want to build it around this American theme with eagles and flags and Route 66 and all of this memorabilia of a golden era of American Route 66. And nothing happened. I actually had to email him. I left a message on his voicemail. I said, do you want to come back to me with this or not? And what I wanted to do was take my truck up to his big warehouse, drive it in, and build everybody up as to what I wanted. I want to get everybody involved with what it was going to be, and I'd happily spend the money to get what I wanted. Nothing happened. Didn't hear from him. Went to another network meeting, and people who knew what I wanted, they knew the chap that was going to be doing the work. They said, has he come back to you yet? I went, no. This is 6 weeks now. Right? And eventually I messaged him, and he goes, do you want to tell me what you're going to do with this? And he fired off an email which said 3,000, no, there was 2,700 and something plus VAT. So it took me 3,200 and a little bit. And I just sent an email back saying it's a little bit out of my budget, but happy to discuss it. I heard nothing more. Nothing, not a thing. And that was over a year ago. So from somebody who really, really wants to spend money, and by the way, if they had brought me into the factory and looked at my truck and built this thing with me, I'd have happily spent the 3,200 instead of the 3,000 I put to one side. But because they thought they could get my business simply by firing an email price to me, they didn't get anything. There was no one recently.
I guess that comes into a little bit sort of for someone in sales, if they want to keep it going as a career, they want to be they want to enjoy it. They want to be as passionate as you are. They've got to also have that want to help people, right? That genuine want, like, they're going to help solve your problem. They're not just selling to sell. Obviously, you've got to have you've got to aspire to make money, but also there's the customer. What problem are you solving for the customer? Are you genuinely helping them?
Yeah,
right?
I agree. If you can't solve a problem they've got, and sometimes they don't know they've got a problem. I'm in it for the money. I got into sales because I needed money to feed my kids. I make no bones about it. I do love helping people with the problems they've got. I genuinely want them to do better. I want people to build their business. I want them to get better at the sales. But if they don't want to pay for it, I genuinely don't care. It's their business. It's their life. They're grown-ups. They know what they're doing. Happy days. But I think nowadays, you've got to be passionate about it. You can't just... Salespeople now are order takers, in my own humble opinion. They just take orders. They throw out 1,000 emails. They might get a couple of bites, but that's what their competition are doing also. So what you're forcing the prospect into doing is trying to do the homework themselves. They're trying to see what the best is over here compared to what the quality is over here. And at the end of the day, it just comes down to who's got the cheapest. And that's pretty much where sales are nowadays. And I'm completely different. I love the face-to-face side of sales. I love being in front of people. The product I sell, the minimum order is about £8,000, and regular. I've just put a deal in for £20,000, and you can't do that. You can't get that kind of figure just sending a price out to somebody on an email. Oh, hi, Mary. I've had a look at your wall. It's going to be £25,000. Your deposit is 30%. Let me know when you're ready. You can't do that. That's never going to happen. So there's a process that you need to follow. And it's all in my book. It's all in my master classes. You go from prospecting through to qualifying, right through to price conditioning. And I very quickly find out whether or not people can afford £20,000 or £8,000, because I'm not going to go and travel half the way down the country to get to someone, do an hour-long survey, a presentation, and then travel halfway up the country again to get someone who says, oh, no, I didn't know it was going to be that much. I can't afford it. So there's a lot of work goes into sitting down with someone and finding out whether they're going your way or not.
Yeah. When you're working with teams, when you're doing your workshops, over the years, have you seen any trends or differences in the way maybe sales teams, companies have gotten better, gotten worse, stayed about the same, making the same mistakes? Has it changed much, do you think? Kind of across corporations?
I think, if anything, people have got lazier. One of the biggest companies I worked with, and I won't mention names, but when I went in, they had 8 salespeople on the road, and they had all come from a van driving background. They used to deliver the company's products, chip shops, restaurants, that kind of thing. And because they knew the product and they knew the route, they were promoted to sales. And they knew nothing about selling whatsoever. But my first 2 months with them, I'd go in 2 days a week, 1 day in Leeds, 1 day in Mansfield. And I would just literally spend a day going out with all of their salespeople. And then I would sit in the office with their telecanvassers and order takers. And the amount of opportunities they missed, and the amount of times they would reduce their asking price because they didn't know how to handle objections. They didn't know how to build value in the product and the services they delivered. The company was literally giving away money to keep people on board as a customer, just to say they've got customers, but it cost them more money to deliver the product than the salesman could get out of the client. So for me, it was a massive challenge, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just loved sitting back, watching what they were doing wrong, and then building a plan to get it right. But once they get it, and this is what I love about when I'm doing workshops nowadays, when people get it, you can see a eureka moment on their face. Their body language changes. They think, oh, I can't wait to get back to work and test this out. And that's what I get a big kick out of, helping people see the light, as it were, or get the penny dropped, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I guess when you talk to business owners, they're obviously going to be open to having the training. They want their sales teams to improve. But when you actually get to the people on the floor, do you ever get much pushback from them, or kind of negativity
you do.
around like, oh, yeah, I do my job perfectly already, as it is?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems I used to have was the sales managers of these companies. The MD would bring me in, maybe we'd meet at a networking event, and he's going, oh, come in and talk to me about my salespeople. So you go in, and the sales manager always thought I was trying to take his job. What I was trying to do was make him look like a god in front of the people on the floor, or the people out in the field. But I used to get a lot of pushback, as you say, because they thought I wanted their job. Couldn't have been any more from the truth. But nowadays, I'm more about the workshops, and this is where I'm focusing on over the next few months to the next year. I just want to literally build master classes and workshops open to anyone and everyone. So it's not just about me going into a company and revolutionize the sales. I want them to come to me and sit in an audience and be part of something that's just going to basically grow and grow and grow. And we're pulling the experience from everybody else in the audience as well.
Yeah. That sounds amazing. And you have one in September you're doing locally, but you're also going internationally, or planning to go internationally.
Oh God, what was it? About a month ago, I was going to ride a motorcycle. Well, it was about 2 months ago. I was going to ride a motorcycle across America, do the old Route 66 thing. Unfortunately, my wife had an accident. She's broken her arms. I can't now ride across America. But what I did do, I contacted a couple of BNI groups in America and said, hey, listen, there's this crazy Englishman coming across. Would you want him to come to your networking event to have a breakfast? And I jokingly said, I'll put on a sales masterclass. And it caught everybody's attention. And one of the directors of a BNI group in Arizona wanted me to give a workshop to her networking people, and they were going to advertise it massively. So my mind working the way it does, I started thinking, oh, I could do a city in every state across all of America. And I could be there for a month doing these workshops. But then, like I said, my wife's had an accident. I can't go this year now, so it probably won't happen. But I thought, well, why don't I do the UK? So I've picked 12 cities in the United Kingdom, and it'll start with Edinburgh, Glasgow, Bristol, Cardiff, down onto the south coast, and then across and then back up. So we're gonna build an audience around this masterclass, and the first one is going to be the trial, and we're going to do that in Hull on the 29th of September, and it's the precursor, if you like, of something I'm going to take on the road. We'll conquer the UK. We'll take this out on the road probably October, November time. And then hopefully, if this is working, which I'm sure it will, can't see why it won't work, then we'll go to America next year, maybe September next year, we go across America and deliver this to 12,
That's
20 cities.
it's amazing. Yeah, yeah, road tripping, right? You can go
Love
across
it.
different continents, take it to Australia, take it across Asia, right? It's
I was thinking of Australia next. I've got family in Australia who I've never seen, and I've never been to Australia yet. So it would be a great working holiday as far as I'm concerned.
wow, wow. That's amazing. I mean, what do you think? Not to put too much of a negative spin, but what do you reckon is the most challenging or difficult thing in making it a success? Sure,
Well,
you're going to, but what's is a big challenge, right?
the biggest challenge for me was finding a company who can market this for me.
Hmm.
I'm a salesman. I'm a sales trainer. I've got no idea about marketing. And AI, the event you and I went to recently,
Hmm.
that was all about utilizing artificial intelligence to start building an audience. I attended a one again with a business culture. Hey, I attended one a little while ago, and they were talking about using the likes of Chat GTP to create content that you would push out there. And I thought it's all fair and well, but you might as well be talking double Dutch to me. It's a great idea, but I don't know how to do it.
Hmm.
So I've just found a local company, and we haven't even signed the agreement yet, but they're going to be doing all of the marketing, all of the email pushing out. I've already created the website, the Eventbrite pages. I've got all the content to give them. And we're going to meet up for a beer, and I'm going to coach them into how to sell me and the master classes. So
Hmm.
the answer to that question is, if you find a challenge, find someone who's good at it to solve it.
Hmm.
And we share the wealth, share everything that comes in. And I can't do what I want to do without them. And me doing what I do, helping them promote me, it puts them in a spotlight as well, because
Yeah.
they can then say, well, we did all the marketing for that. We did all the inviting. We've got the software behind us to make Lawrence Laidlow look great.
Hmm.
So I'm all up for that kind of stuff.
Too right, too right. You go far by yourself, go further with more people on board, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned AI there though, because that's a really interesting twist. Because you mentioned the sales managers thinking that you will take their job, them thinking that, right?
Yeah.
Do you think AI can replace salespeople, or if not, what's the role of AI? How is AI changing sales now, and yeah, where do you think it's heading in the future?
It's a good question. It's a great scenario when you think about it. In my opinion, right? I think AI is a tool. It's a creative tool. If I want to create content for a workshop, I might type in top 12 modules to master to deliver a fully comprehensive sales training workshop. And you type it in, and it'll fire back 12 topics that AI thinks are interesting or important. I
Mm.
can read that and go, yeah, pretty good. I hadn't thought of that one. Yes, I'm already doing this one, but I wouldn't just copy and paste it and shove it on my website and say, this is what I'm building my course around.
Mm.
It's a tool. You can get a lot of information from it, but it's up to you, the individual, to sift through it and find out what is useful, what you can use, and what you can discard. Will AI ever change the place of a salesman? Well, I think it will, depending on certain industries. Maybe it's the car wrapping industry. It will, because someone's just looking for the cheapest bit of print to be put on a vinyl and wrapped around a car. But if you want to buy, I don't know, if you want to buy home improvements, in my humble opinion, you want someone to come into your home and show you what they've got. They want to measure up. You want them to be looking professional. You're not just going to buy a fully fitted kitchen off of an AI generated website and a pitch. If you do, I think you're crazy. I think there's something wrong with you. If you're going to spend upwards of 10, 20, 50 grand on a Pog and Paul kitchen by
Mm.
simply listening to a bit of a pitch that an AI machine's given.
Mm.
So, will it change the world? It probably has already. But maybe it's only attracting idiots to part with their money.
As a tool, right, to
As a tool.
enhance the salesperson.
Yeah,
That's an interesting, yeah, kind of
I'm going to
take on
use
it.
AI to build an audience. I won't use AI to take that money off of them. But they're going to be spending decent money to come to a workshop. They want to know what they get from it. Not an AI generated pitch on an email that they have to read themselves. Either me or my team are going to be talking them through any kind of objections they've got to get them happy with their investment.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, sorry, there's some lag when you're when you're speaking. So
Right, okay.
I see your mouth still moving. I suppose just to kind of close us a bit. You mentioned the workshops that you're running in the UK. Absolutely amazing. From the ones that you've done so far, what sort of transformation do you see people go through as the sort of the lead of these workshops?
Well, the biggest is most people who initially meet me, and this has been the same for years. I've been networking. I've been in and around the networking environment for something like 30 years. And most people who own or run a business are phenomenal at what they do. They are very, very talented at what they do, but they struggle selling themselves, selling a product, or selling a service. And when they sit down with me, they think I'm going to be some kind of great big, loud, over the top fella coming in with great big car salesman type. Do you want to buy it now? If you buy it today, it's 30,000. But if you get a signature now, it's only 3,000. They don't fully understand what sales and sales training or sales coaching involves. But when I sit down and say things like, well, before you deliver a price, just say, normally it's about, then deliver the price. Because at that point, you can either increase the price, you can add on a service, you can upsell them, or if there's a bit of hesitancy, you can give a justified price drop. It's not just saying it's £30,000, take it or leave it. It's normally it's £30,000. How do you feel about that? And you go, well, it's a bit more than I wanted to spend. And you go, okay, I'm glad you said that. And you can justify a price drop. You can, I don't know, I like to say, if you let me use the before and after photographs, or if you do a video testimony, I can take a little bit off, but can I ask you, what figure are you at? And it's a really nice way it's a subtle way of finding out where they are regarding the budgets, if you like.
Amazing. Brilliant. Well, I guess to close, Lawrence, for our listeners, if they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, just go to lawrencelaidlow.com or find me on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. Google Lawrence Laidlow. There's not that many of us.
Brilliant. Yeah, unique name, right?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
I'll make sure to put those contact details in the notes below. But thank you so much for being here, Lawrence, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you, James. It's been a pleasure. Take care now.